I loving you. Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life, won't live in the past. All I wanna do now
It's
is
time for
making
another
it
conversation.
last.
Welcome to Making It Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, with other people. And we're speaking with Suzanne Brown. She's an author of the book 1 Year of Thankful Thursday. I'm going to have her explain that just in a little while. And she's a life simplifier and encourager. So before we get to the book and the title of the book, what do you mean by a life simplifier and encourager? What does that mean?
Well, I think it's quite aware in this present day and age, but it's always been the fact that life can get very heavy, life can get very hard and complicated. And I'm never going to be that person that says, oh, this can be better, this can be better, because there is messy, there is ugly, there is downright dirty, hard, devastating loss. But I believe that there is a way to simplify where we can navigate a little easier. And because I'm a lover of acronyms, in my mind, what simplify
Oh.
means is systems intentionally, mindfully planned to lessen the intensity for you. So if we think about simplifying in that manner, nobody can wave a magic wand, right? There is grief,
Yes.
there is hardship,
Yes.
there is
Yes.
death, there is
Yes.
devastating loss.
Yes.
But I believe we can navigate it with a little bit less intensity. So that to me is the ultimate in simplification, is
Okay.
we can't avoid the hard, but
It's
we can
interesting.
lessen that intensity and navigate a little easier.
Love that perspective, which is what we're going to be talking about. Tell us a little bit, though, about your book.
So the book was actually born out of my blog and a lot of readers saying, hey, could you put that into a book? And my initial response was, well, no, why would I do that? And they said, well, because I would read it. So it was born out of audience request and lots of prayer. But it really was born out of a sense of I had come to a place in my life where I had been through a lot of hardships. There had been a lot of loss, and I had been redeemed from that. But I was so unimpressed with the world. And what I mean by that is I'm a positive person. I love the world. I see beauty everywhere I look. But I was so unimpressed with the keeping up with the Joneses, with the small talk, with the surfacey issues of the day, just didn't hold any interest for me. And I needed something deeper, something more that I knew I couldn't get from this life. So as we would drive down the road, I would say to my husband, wow, don't you see how that electric wire reminds you of God because he's sending his message to us? And he goes, no, I don't see that. You should write that down. I'm like, no, what, And so I started to write these things down and share them. And so the book is all about cultivating that heart of gratitude, but really eyes to see God just everywhere. And I think that like reinvigorates the excitement for life and the beauty for life while we are here and now. And it was just, I tell people, if there's anything good in there, it's from God. The questionable stuff belongs to me. So
Love that. Love
but
the
it's, yeah.
perspective. It's a nice segue then to what we're going to be talking about, which is your 4-step method to simplify and overcome. What's the first step?
Yes. And this is not meant as, like we talked about earlier, for like, this is not like, oh, if you're just having this struggle, this is also meant for the deep, hard stuff. This is what I use
Okay.
to overcome homelessness. This is what
Okay.
I use to overcome nearly dying many times. So this is meant for the nitty gritty as well as the everyday. And it's not one of those things I feel like you ever stop using. I use it every single day. Before I came on the podcast with you, I was like, I want to do Noreen and her audience justice. So I went through this process in my mind so it can be used with everything.
Okay.
So because I love acronyms, it actually spells something. It spells GIVE, GIVE. And the first step is, of course, as you may have guessed it, gratitude.
Gratitude.
But the reason for that is not because I know gratitude has become a bit of a buzzword, right? And I've listened to you and have so much respect for what you do. I know that you understand the depths of gratitude and the actual meaning of it. And so that's how we're talking about it here. But I truly believe And this is a bold statement, but I believe it with my whole heart, that unless you can learn to be grateful in the most dire of circumstances, to see just one thing, even if it's like, I'm still breathing, then really, no matter what you achieve in life or what happens that you think at that time is going to be good, you will never be grateful, which means you'll never truly be happy or be joyful. So this has to come first. The gratitude has to come first. And of course, I go deeper into that other times, but the gratitude is the first thing. So when I was living in my car, I remember all of a sudden, and I'd become a very selfish person. I wasn't the same person I was today. I was not, I just was, I was just not, in a good place. And God really found me, and all of a sudden my eyes were open. I thought, I'm so grateful I have a car. I can drive to my job. I have a place to be somewhat safe when I sleep. It keeps me safe from the rain. So then the gratitude started happening. So I was able to see things differently. When gratitude infects your life, you are able to see nothing but possibility. Then it's time for the next step, right? And that is I. Now the I, there's two words and they flip-flop with each other very intentionally. It's the intention to invest in the change. And then you can flip that around and say, I'm going to invest in my intention. And the reason I feel like that's really important, Noreen, is have you ever had things that you hear people say, and it's like a common saying, and for some reason it doesn't sit right in your heart, and there's not anything technically wrong with it, but you think something just stirs me wrong with that, and you kind of sit with it, and it may take days, weeks, months, years, and you finally realize. So this is why I say intention to invest. For some reason, it's always bothered me. And again, this is not, nothing's wrong with it if anybody says this. I've said it for years, but always just didn't sit right with me, is the willingness to change. And it finally dawned on me when I came up with this acronym, why the willingness to change bothers me, is because it seems like kind of a passive thing. Okay, well, I'll sit here, and God, you and the angels can wash over and do your thing. And I'm going to be willing. And I think that's why it's bothered me, is it feels like this very passive, I don't need to take any personal responsibility kind of thing, right? And I'm not suggesting to anybody listening that you're doing that if you're saying that. They may have already had this deeper understanding, right? But for me, just in my own personal life, I think that's why willingness to change just didn't sit right.
Yes.
So I'm calling this your intention to invest in the change. And then you have to invest in that intention. You have to own it. You have to be willing to do the work. So my intention was, I've got to get out of living in my car, right? And then I had to charge myself, wow, am I actually going to do the work? Am I going to invest in what I say I am? So it's twofold. It's taking that personal responsibility and then charging yourself to do it, right?
This conversation is all about helping us to simplify, just to simplify and overcome. Even obstacles are just some of the challenges that we sometimes have in life. And one main way of doing that is gratitude. We're going to continue and unpack that a little bit more right after we get a word from our partners.
Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life, won't live in the past. All I wanna do now is making it last.
You can't live your best life without a healthy immune system. Boost your immune system the delicious way with Zappy's organic juices and punches. Made from local produce with zero added sugar, our juices cleanse and revitalize your body as they boost your natural immunity. Try our delicious flavors: Beat It, Berry Bomb, Get Fresh, Ton Up, and Island Splash. Find us on Instagram at Zappy's Organics, or call or send a WhatsApp message at 1-876-779-8910 to order today. That's 1-876-779-8910. Zappy's Organic Juices and Punches. Live your best life today.
Langdo Language Institute was created to meet your language and communication needs. All of our packages were created just for you. We are passionate about language and dedicated to your success. We offer the CSEC English program, the Study Buddy program, the Get Ahead with English program, and the Business Communication program. Contact us at 767-285-0938 or email us at langdolanguage@gmail.com. Langdo Language Institute was created to meet your language and communication needs. All of our packages were created just for you. We are passionate about language and dedicated to your success. We offer the CSEC English program, the Study Buddy program, the Get Ahead with English program, and the Business Communication program. Contact us at 767-285-0938 or email us at langdolanguage@gmail.com. Because the real question is, how can we help you?
Mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life won't live in the past. All I wanna do now is making it last.
How are you in terms of having a spirit of gratitude? Something to think about. We're going to continue the conversation. Welcome back. Oh, before you get to the next step, though, how there are a lot of persons, and I don't necessarily think this is cultural, but a lot of persons still think that other persons should determine some things. Let me give you an example. For example, where I live in Jamaica, there are a lot of people, sometimes they'll see the bad roads and they'll say, oh, but it's the government who's supposed to take care of this. Rather than saying, okay, we're living in this community, let's see what we can do. How then do you change that mindset then for people to then take personal responsibility, Susan, to say, let me do this?
Yeah, that's such a good question, Noreen. I love this question because that's kind of what's changed. You're in Jamaica, I'm in the United States, and you know what? It's the same thing here. I think it's become a bit of a epidemic and a pandemic in and of itself, right? This whole, well, it's somebody else's, but we forget it literally can be one person that changes the world, right? And I think too that the problem with it is that we've given that passive permission to people. Oh, okay. Well, I don't want to step on your toes. I don't want to tell you to do something. And it's become a cultural thing, I think, throughout the world. And it's infecting our children. And now they're being raised up where, well, I can do whatever. You really can't. It matters. You know, I talk to my children a lot about, you need to be careful because it's not, and it's a twofold thing, right? It's not my responsibility if I explain well, if somebody takes something away that I said and says, oh my gosh, you know, Susan hates potholes in the road after they're, you know, that's not my responsibility.
Right.
But what I'm explaining to my children is, it's not your responsibility to an extreme that like what somebody does with what you do, but it is your responsibility to think about other people and the ripple effect before you speak, before you act. And I think that people have forgotten they have a ripple effect. I think that's why it's so easy. They can say, oh, you know what, Noreen, that's their potholes, their road. And they forget that is also a ripple effect. The negativity, the lack of personal responsibility, it has a ripple effect. You know, that's why I ended up living homeless in my car and so many other things. But the thing is the negativity has a ripple effect. So we all think, oh, and you know, here in America, there was this big thing about, it's okay, you don't have to vote, and then you still get to complain if you don't vote about whoever wins.
It's the same thing here, and I keep saying I'm an educator, and I keep saying you can't keep complaining though if it is that you keep saying you're not going to vote. So you have to do something. You have to do something to make it.
Well, and I think too, also, I don't think people would get to that intention to invest at Noreen unless they had first completed the gratitude. Does that make sense? Because the people that say that the potholes in the road, oh, it's somebody else's problem. Well, maybe they haven't gotten to the place of, wow, man, we have roads and I'm so
Yes.
thankful, but look how
Yes.
this could be that
Yes.
we have roads. We should take care of them
Care
while
of
we
what we
have
have.
them, so they're not washed into the water. So that gratitude becomes such a hope-filled deep part of you. It permeates everywhere that it almost becomes uncontrollable, where it can't really stop at gratitude, that it does go, I want to do
That
something
could
about this.
transcends other eras. But
Right.
I
So I think
guess
through gratitude.
Mhm. I guess
No,
at
go
the
ahead,
end
go ahead.
we just have to live in hope, and hope at some point there's a mindset change, because obviously we'll have to take a mindset change for people to actually do that.
And I think your podcast is doing just that, right? My book, there is a huge ripple effect of the people who are willing to step up right now and say, hey, guess what? You, Noreen Daly, you, Susan Brown, every single person listening right now, like, you can make a huge difference. I think the flip side of that too, that people get concerned with, is we become convinced that we're going to be alive and be here to see the difference. But we have to learn to be content with it. We may never see it,
That's right.
you know,
That's right.
but that what we are doing and what you are doing is being seen, even if we don't know it.
That's true.
Does that
That's
make
true.
sense?
That's true.
You think
That's true.
about social media,
That's
right?
true. That's
How many
true.
people maybe follow somebody and really absorb their material and maybe buy their books, but they just aren't a liker or a commenter, right? So maybe they've never liked a post. Maybe they don't comment on posts, but they're like, like what that lady posts, I'm going to ponder about that. And then they see
Yes.
you pop up, hey, I started a podcast, and maybe they're listening. And then you put out a book and maybe then they buy it, but they never comment or they never like, right? That's just because that's their personality. It doesn't mean they're a bad
That's
person
true.
or doing anything wrong.
That's true.
There's a lot of people I actually know on social media that they say, I'm just scrollers. I get lots of good information, but I just don't like to comment. I don't like to like. And I said, hey, you do you. But
Yeah,
I
do
think
what
the
works
thing
for
about
you.
that is, as entrepreneurs and as people that do want to change the world, is we do have to be okay with not seeing the likes, with not seeing the comments, and knowing that it's being seen past that. That ripple effect is much larger than what you and I will see on a day-to-day in our lifetime basis, right? I mean, you think about
That's true.
humongous
That's
giants
true.
like Martin Luther
That's
King
true.
Jr.
That's true.
He didn't get to live to see, right? So many people are willing to be so grateful right now that it almost comes to a place, it doesn't matter if I ever know or ever see. It doesn't matter, you know? I'm choosing this. I'm going to stand in this regardless. I refuse to give in. I am going to do my best, come hell or high water, and
Mhm.
I'm going to be the best version of me, and I'm going to have a positive ripple effect, whether I ever see the results of that or not.
That's powerful.
But I think a lot of people don't want to do that. So I think that's why it's easier to say, those potholes are your problem, Noreen, not mine.
I loving you, mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and